Find a photograph of yourself from 10 years ago. Look at it for a moment. The clothes, the context, the expression on your face. Think about what you believed then, about yourself, about other people, about what mattered and what didn't. Think about who you were in love with, or what you were afraid of, or what you wanted your life to look like. Think about the things you were certain of that you are no longer certain of. The convictions you held that have since quietly dissolved. The version of yourself that existed before everything that has happened since. Now ask yourself, is that person you? The intuitive answer is yes. Of course it is you, the same body, the same name, the same continuous thread of memory connecting that moment to this one. But the philosophical and scientific answer is considerably more complicated. And sitting with that complication is one of the more unsettling and ultimately freeing things a person can do. Here is what is happening inside your body right now, as you exist in this moment. Your cells are constantly replacing themselves. The lining of your stomach renews itself every few days. Your skin replaces itself over the course of weeks. Your red blood cells turn over in about 4 months. Your skeleton, which feels permanent and fixed, is continuously being broken down and rebuilt, with most of it replaced over the course of roughly 10 years. Your neurons are more stable, but even they are not static. Connections between them are constantly being pruned, strengthened, or formed anew. The body you inhabit right now is made of different physical material than the body you inhabited a decade ago, and the brain controlling it has been rewired by every experience, every loss, every relationship, every book, every failure, and every decision you have made in the intervening years. This is the ship of Theseus, the ancient Greek philosophical puzzle, applied to a human life. If a ship has every plank replaced over time, is it still the same ship? If every cell in your body has been replaced, and every belief you held has been revised, and every relationship that defined you has changed, and the things that once frightened you no longer do while new things have taken their place, in what sense are you the same person? Philosopher Derek Parfit spent decades on this question and arrived at a conclusion that is still unsettling to many people who encounter it. Personal identity, as we usually understand it, is not what we think it is. There is no unchanging self, no essential core that persists intact through the decades while the rest of you changes around it. What we call the self is more like a river, a continuous process rather than a persistent object. The river at 2 different moments is the same river in name and continuity, but the water is entirely different water. What makes it the same river is not sameness of substance, but sameness of pattern, of flow, of relationship to the banks on either side. Psychologist Dan McAdams at Northwestern University has spent his career studying how people construct identity through narrative, through the stories they tell about who they are and how they came to be that way. His research suggests that the self is not a thing you have but a story you are telling, continuously revised as new events occur, new meanings emerge, and old certainties give way. You are not a fixed entity moving through time. You are an ongoing interpretation of a life, and the interpretation changes as you change. This has been confirmed empirically in one of the most interesting longitudinal studies in psychology. Researchers tracked a group of Scottish individuals from age 14 to age 77, more than 60 years. They assessed personality traits at both ends. The correlation between the 14-year-old's personality and the 77-year-old's personality was so low as to be essentially negligible. The researchers concluded that personality, rather than being fixed, undergoes such substantial change over a lifetime that there is effectively a different person at each major life stage. Not slightly different. Substantially, measurably different, in ways that personality assessments could barely connect across the decades. This might feel disturbing. Most of us have a deep intuition that there is a real me, a stable, authentic, continuous self that exists beneath the surface changes and the shifting opinions and the evolving relationships. The idea that this self might be far more fluid than it appears can feel like something is being taken away. Like the ground is moving. But consider what this fluidity actually means for how you live your life. It means that the things you believe about yourself are not fixed facts. They are current readings of an ongoing process. The person who decided they were not creative, not disciplined, not capable of intimacy, that person made a reading at a particular moment from a particular vantage point. The reading was accurate for then. It does not have to be accurate for now. The self you inhabit is not a prison you were placed in at birth. It is a story that is still being written, and you have more authorship over its next chapters than the fixed self model of identity would ever allow you to believe. It also means that the guilt and shame you carry about who you used to be are, in a meaningful sense, being directed at someone who no longer fully exists. The person who made that choice, said that thing, treated someone that way, they were made of different beliefs, different neural connections, different emotional resources than the person you are now. You can take responsibility for the past without identifying with the past self who created it. Accountability does not require self-punishment. You can own what happened without defining yourself by it. And it means something else, something that is perhaps the most practically useful of all. The person you will be in 10 years is not fixed either. They are being made right now, by the choices you are making, the habits you are building, the people you are spending time with, the ideas you are letting in and the ones you are closing the door on. You are not revealing a pre-existing self through your choices. You are constructing a future self through them. And that future self will look back at who you are now with the same mixture of recognition and distance that you feel when you look at that photograph. Same name. Same thread of memory. Different water. Philosopher William James, often considered the father of modern psychology, wrote that the greatest revolution of his generation was the discovery that human beings, by changing the inner attitudes of their minds, can change the outer aspects of their lives. He was writing in the 19th century, before neuroscience, before longitudinal personality studies, before everything we now know about neuroplasticity and the constructive nature of identity. But he understood something that the science has since confirmed. You are not a fixed thing that time happens to. You are a process. And the process is still going.